Welcome. This is True Crime and Whatnot, and I am your host, Tanya. I have stumbled upon a case that I just could not pass up, and I couldn't wait to share it with you guys. So I'm not gonna do a long intro like I normally would, but yeah, I'm going to do a little different format. So if you guys could let me know if you like the way I'm going to do this, or if you want me to go and do things the way I usually do them, let me know. Warning. The following case involves fire and the death of children. Viewer discretion is advised. On the morning of April 10th, 2001, an explosion rocked a quaint suburb of Scottsdale, Arizona. Soon after, flames were seen as high as 20 feet from the small cul-de-sac. The explosion came from the Fisher home at 8:45 a.m. By noon, after the fire had been put out, the charred remains of 3 people were located in the home around the areas where the bedrooms would be. Police immediately knew this was a triple homicide. They could tell all 3 victims had had their throats slashed. The victims would later be identified as 38-year-old Mary Fisher, 12-year-old Brittany Fisher, and 10-year-old Bobby Fisher. It was also discovered that the wound to Mary's throat was not the only wound that she had. She also sustained a gunshot wound to the back of her head. Authorities sifted through every piece of ash that came from that house, from the fire and the explosion, and very quickly came to the realization someone was missing. That someone was 40-year-old Robert William Fisher. The patriarch of the family was nowhere to be found, even though his pickup truck was sitting, although burned, in the driveway. The neighbors informed police that yes, that was his truck, but Mary owned a Toyota 4Runner SUV and it was missing. Also missing was Blue, the family dog that most friends and neighbors said that Robert loved more than his own family. Security video from a nearby ATM would show that Robert, driving Mary's SUV, stopped at the ATM the night before and withdrew $280, which was the maximum amount that his bank allowed at that time. This was the last time the bank account was touched. Now keep in mind, this was several months before 9/11, so travel restrictions were much more relaxed. 10 days after the murders, on April 20th, 2001, Mary's SUV was found in a forested area near Payson, Arizona. Blue was found guarding the SUV, and although he was hungry and thirsty, he was fine. It appeared the car had been sitting in the same spot for at least 3 to 5 days. It had been wiped down with only one fingerprint, and it belonged to Robert. And it was on his Raiders hat that he was seen wearing in the security video. Police searched around, they say, about a 1-mile radius of the car, including one cave before they gave up and said, he's just not here. Now, I say including one cave because there's a cave system that runs underground, and it's a honeycomb of caves. So they only looked in one, but they didn't see anything. Now later on, cavers would go in and they would look, and they never found anything. In all probability, he really wasn't there. Everything from this point becomes a huge mystery. This SUV is the last evidence of Robert Fisher. On June 29th, 2002, Robert Fisher became the 475th person to be added to the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. As of November 3rd, 2021, he was removed from the top 10, but he remains a wanted fugitive, and he is still on the fugitive list. He's not one of their top priorities because over the last 22 years, they have not gained any information that was pertinent. So now I'm going to kind of give my opinion of what I think happened. And I have this feeling that everything that happened was well planned and thought out ahead of time. Because according to everyone that knew him, he was a very intelligent man. And we're going to go over some things that'll give you the reasoning behind my thought process on this. So, neighbors had stated that they had heard arguing coming from the home the night before the explosion, which would have been April 9th. The night before the explosion, Mary had Bobby at a class, and Robert was supposed to take his daughter Brittany to receive her certificate for making the honor society. He got frustrated and he made her leave before she got the certificate. Robert and Mary had been in counseling through their church, and it was a lot of he had been unfaithful, and he told her about it. They decided to go through some counseling and see if they could fix things, and then it just escalated. So I think by this point, they were both done with the relationship, and she just got to the point where she was just tired of him being controlling, and she just said, look, I want a divorce, I'm taking the kids, and we're leaving. Now, he came from a broken home, which means his parents were divorced, and his mother had ran off and left them, and his dad remarried, and apparently the woman that his dad had remarried was not the nicest person to him, and supposedly he was afraid that was gonna happen with his kids. So that's the only reasoning anyone can find for why he killed the kids while they slept in their beds, and then he killed Mary. Now, being a former fireman and a former Navyman, he knew exactly what he needed to do to blow up that house and make it possibly look like he was killed in the explosion as well. He disconnected the gas line to the furnace, which at this point in time was still being used. He then set a lit candle in the hallway, knowing it would take hours for the house to fill with gas. He packed his things and the dog, took Mary's car, stopped by the ATM as a diversion, then headed to the forest in Payson. From here, I believe he backtracked and went to Mexico. Now, I really believe he's in a country that doesn't extradite. I don't think he went anywhere cold, because if you could see how he dressed in the family videos and things, he wouldn't be a fan of the cold. Plus, he had a back injury, so he had to have surgery on his back. And my husband has scoliosis, so I know that when you have to have surgery on your back, it is a lot of arthritis and it's a lot of pain. So cold weather is almost debilitating. And so I don't think that he went anywhere where it would get very cold. And that's my reasoning for that. I really think he's like some kind of beach bum in Guatemala or somewhere like that. He's very regular looking. There's nothing really special about him as far as his looks go. In the videos and everything, you can tell by the way he acts. He thinks that there's something special about him, but there's really not. He can blend in with any group. He does, because of the back injury. He has a very stiff walk, so he walks very straight and with his chest out. And again, my husband has a very similar walk when his back is hurting, so I understand that. And he kind of leans to one side when, not my husband, I'm I'm talking about Robert Fisher. He leans to one side when he's walking, and I think that's the side that hurts the most. I think it's his left side, but don't quote me on that. Now, the reason I think everything was well planned is because everything that he did and has done to this point has been a diversion. It's all been a smokescreen, and it worked. It worked. The reason I think this is because he waited several years before he had his back surgery. He set up trust funds for his kids, and he either paid off the house or was having it paid down quite a bit and paid off a vehicle or something to that effect. And then, that someone that plans things like that, they don't commit murder willy-nilly. They have a plan. They think it out. And just because we can't find a traceable method of him stocking up on money doesn't mean it didn't happen. I do think that he had money stashed somewhere, even if it was in the house, which is a very good possibility. Just saying. But everything right down to that explosion was a diversion. The explosion was meant to get rid of evidence and to slow down investigators, which it did. It gave him a 10-hour head start. And then it gave him a 10-day head start, because they had to wait for IDs to make sure that it wasn't him that was found in the rubble. And, he had to have all these things done. And here we are, and we're 22 years later, and we still have no clue where he is, where he's been, what he looks like. And I know that there are a ton of theories that he committed suicide in the caves around where his wife's car was found. But honestly, I don't think so. And I don't think so because, like I said, cavers have went into those caves since the police left. There's no sign of anyone living in them, and there's no sign of anyone committing suicide. And because it's so much colder in the caves, the body would be better preserved than it would if it was on top of the caves or on the outside of the caves, better yet. There's also the belief that he relied on his outdoorsmanship and was living off the grid in the forest. And I just don't see how that theory would work either, because it would be extremely difficult to do that in this particular forest. About a mile, less than 3 miles from where the car was found, there's a highway. And less than a mile away is the Apache Reservation, which is a sovereign nation. And what that means is the police cannot just go onto the reservation and say, hey, we're looking for this guy, we think he killed his family, and we need to search your reservation. They're not going to allow that. It's like if you were to go to Mexico and say, hey, I'm going to search your house. You can't just go to another quote unquote country and just search because you have a feeling. You have to have search warrants. You have to have, with the Apache Reservation, you have to have a guide. You have to do things their way. And you can only search where they allow you to search, which means that if they're hiding someone, they're going to hide them. And you're not going to know whether they let you search or not. They have to know in advance that you're coming so that you can have a guide that will guide you where you need to go. They do not adhere to our particular government. They have their own. So it's like dealing with a whole other country. So you can't, the police couldn't just go over there. And if he knew that, and I'm sure he did because he knew that area, he knew that he could go through those mountains and woods right there and never be found. Just some food for thought on that one. That'd be a perfect place to lay low until you feel like everything's quieted down. And if he made friends with the Apache Indians that are there, he could have went on and, said, hey, can I stay for a little while? And I'll leave soon. And then while they're searching the car and everything, he could have run. Another reason why it's really difficult to believe that he has been living off the grid for 22, almost 23 years is the fact that they spoke to a survivalist recently, and he's one of the top survivalists in Arizona, and he even stated it would be impossible to live 20 years in the open. Specifically in that area. There wouldn't have been much food or water, and the winters are brutal. So I truly feel the only other option would be he ran south of the border, and now he's pretty much untouchable. Those are my thoughts. Those are my theories on that. I know I didn't give a lot of backstory on this one, but I wanted to hit the highlights of the case itself and not just, oh, well, this is how he is. He's not insane. This is not a crazy man. This is a very meticulous man. This is a very cunning man. This is a smart man. And he wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and he didn't make it through training, which is not unheard of, because Navy SEAL training is terrible. It is brutal, and it is the hardest training in our military. And they only take the top. They only take the best of the best. And his best wasn't good enough for the SEALs. But he's able to do this and elude authorities this long. The SEALs may have missed their mark on that one. Just saying. He'd be able to hide quite well. Sorry, sometimes I make myself giggle because of the way I say things. So I know this is not one of the normal first serial killer of a state episode, but I do promise there will be a new episode for that specific section very, very soon. But I just found this case so compelling that I had to cover it. And I really just, like I said, I hit the highlights on this case. But yeah, you guys, please let me know what you think of the way I did this. If you prefer it this way, or if you want me to go back to doing it the way that I was. You can do that by getting on the Facebook page for True Crime and Whatnot podcast. And you can leave a comment on the page, or you can send me a private message. I will read it, I will look at it, and I will respond. Or you can send me an email on Instagram. I'll have a poll on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify, every episode has a poll, and it has questions for a month after the episode. I would love for you guys to really take part in those and let me know what you think of the episodes and everything. It'd be great. But other than that, thank you guys for listening today. As always, stay true and whatnot. Talk to you soon. Bye.